Big match preview is back. Away days is back. Come on, let's go.
I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713, could've 21 down riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and high, yeah. It's not water. I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the Heimlich, throw that.
Here we go, back again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC Away Days. And yes, we are back. The big match preview is here, and we're going to talk all about it. Nottingham Forest against Newcastle United. I've got the main man with me over here, just in time, just made it. Brandy and Blaze back in the house. Chris, how you doing, fella?
All good, mate. Yeah, my train home from London got delayed, as you alluded to there, and yeah, I came in about 15 minutes ago, but just in time for the away days. So yeah, really glad to be back in Liverpool and really glad to be on the show, and looking forward to discussing all things Newcastle Nottingham with Ben.
Yeah, definitely. Should be a good one, and the revenge tour didn't quite kick up the amount of steam that we expected to last week. Obviously, the 4-4 draw against Luton at home. How are you feeling now about it? Now we've had a little bit of time to digest, nearly a week. Still raw, or are you looking forward now?
Do you know what? I think it's right to look forward, Pete, because let's be honest, when we were 4-2 down, I was thinking, there's a potential for us to come away with no points here. Obviously, it's disappointing to concede 4 at home to Luton. Not going to lie, that's no disrespect to Luton whatsoever. But if you score 4 goals at home, you expect to go on and win the game, don't you? So a little bit disappointed. But on a positive, we got 3 points against Villa at Villa Park, which I think is fair to say none of us were expecting. So as far as I'm concerned, the revenge tour is 4 points out of 2 games, which when you look at Villa away and Luton at home, I think you'd more than take that, because I think we'd have all took a point at Villa Park. So for me, I'm looking forward now to Forest. Obviously, it's important, that we try and go to the City ground and get a result. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult, and we saw what happened last time we played Forest. So hopefully it's not a rewind of that. But do you know what, as well, it's important to note, Pete, that this revenge tour, as we've spoke about, it's about trying to get as many points on the board as we can and try and better what we did in the first half of the season. But as all Newcastle fans know, the players are slowly starting to come back. But I don't think we see, the real fruits of the players coming back probably for another 2 or 3 weeks, if I'm honest. Because, even the likes of Harvey Barnes, Callum Wilson, they're not going to be hitting the ground running, I don't imagine. Hopefully they prove me wrong. But, it might take 2 or 3 games for them to settle. So as long as we continue this run and just make sure that we don't get beat, I think that I'd be quite pleased with that. And then going into, the latter stages of February and March, then we can really start, picking up some form and really trying to get some wins behind us. So that's the way I'm seeing it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it's the only way we can do now. Can't dwell on previous results. We can only look forward, and the revenge tour continues. Of course it does, as we look ahead to playing Nottingham Forest. But just a quick one, as Tom Dixon says in the chat, good evening to you, Tom, as well, one of our resident Spanners. Everyone click the like button, and please consider subscribing to Loaded Mag NUFC, and of course Chris on the button as always. Thank you for all your support, and make sure you like and comment on the show. Spot on as always. But look, let's get the main man in. We always do it on away days. We get the opposition view. It's great to welcome back Ben from Dior on Tour, Nottingham Forest fan and YouTuber. Welcome in, Ben. How you doing, fella?
I'm buzzing. Pete, I've been waiting for you, Pete. I've been waiting. You know why?
I knew this was coming. I knew it was coming. He's been waiting ever since Boxing Day.
Ever since Boxing Day, I've been waiting, Chris. He doesn't understand. He's like, I remember the previous show that you was a bit confident, but now you're not confident now, are you, mate?
I'll wait to give my prediction later on in this show. But look, let's get it out there. You guys came to St. James's Park and look, fully deserved the 3 points. It was a really, really good performance by you boys. Really poor, almost second half performance for us, because at 40 minutes we looked like we were really comfortable.
Yeah.
But you guys turned it on. Fantastic performance, and this man came back to haunt us. Chris Wood.
Dino. What did Dino?
What was that?
Woodadinho.
Brilliant. But look, he got you the hat trick. What were your thoughts? Because you were there, you're in the away end, you were watching the game. Like, what were your thoughts when that was happening? Like, did you expect that? Seeing how we were playing in the first half, we took the lead more than anything. Did you expect that to happen at that stage?
The first, I said, you mentioned the first half, especially the first, I say, 35 minutes, you was all over us. And I mentioned Gordon, especially Gordon and the two centre midfielders. Like, you just bullying us. And players like Sangara and Danilo, like, I think, was it Longstaff, Miley, and I don't know.
Bruno.
Bruno. Yeah. Like, we couldn't touch him. And Sangara and Danilo were just like, it's going to be a long day. And especially Gordon. I thought, I still rate him. He was giving Montiel a nightmare. But then that goal that Chris Wood scored, because slowly, I think before that, but we had a goal. Lang had the ball and crossed it, and he made the wrong decision.
Yeah. And
slowly we was getting in the game. I thought, you know what, we could get a goal before half time. And Newcastle, I think they was doing sloppy passes. The last 10 minutes of the game, I thought, you know what, if we can get something before half time, what's going to happen then? As you know, Chris Wood got that goal. I thought to myself, that goal's so important because we got you rattled a little bit. And then the second half, Pete and Chris, it was one way. And sorry, but I didn't expect that all from Newcastle. And I can see Chris Wood got a hat trick, but I mentioned the players like the midfield battles then fixed up, if you want to see that. Like players like Sangari, Danilo, Morgan Gibbs-White. We spoke about he took control, and that's what his Forest fans have been missing. And that game is a sticking point for what we need to do from now to the end of the season, because it was just a fantastic performance, and I didn't expect it. Because, as I mentioned in the previous show on my show, like what I didn't expect to get results, but then. Wow! It was just amazing performance. Like I said, we kept with Nuno. No one expected Nuno what to do, because I know he had a good record against Newcastle.
Yeah.
But listen, that performance was like since we're back in the Premier League. I think that's been the best Premier League performance that we've had as a Forest fan for myself. It was amazing.
I was going to ask you that question. I was going to say, like, was that your best performance of the season? Because I've watched you a few times this season, and I haven't seen you play better than you did there. You beat Man United. Oh, did you? Yeah, did you beat them, or was it?
No. That was after.
Yeah, but even with that performance, and you got the result there. Like, I still think you played better at St. James's Park than you did against Man United at home. And I just think, you know, it just kind of It was just one, Chris. It was just one of those days for us, wasn't it, where we just let things slip and we just didn't turn up on the back of that.
Yeah, I think Ben was right then when he was talking about us giving away possession. I seem to remember Bruno constantly giving away possession during that game, and I think it's difficult because, like Ben says, we made a good start and things were looking all right, but then we got hit with the sucker punch, and then the defence was everywhere, wasn't it? Because we were playing such a high line, and Chris Wood, of all people, just kept exposing it. And but do you know what? I don't want to take too much away from Chris Wood because I thought his finishes were really good. They were really, really good, and he took his goals well. He full credit to him for that. But some shocking defending. We were all over the place. And was that the game as well, Pete, where Fabian Schär just kept going walkabouts? He just kept. He kept
that was Dan Burn. That was Dan Burn. Dan Burn. Like I mentioned, sorry, Chris.
No, go for it, man. Sorry.
Dan Burn. Alanga had him. And like I said, Newcastle were playing good the first half an hour, but Langa was targeting Burn every single time, and I was surprised he played. I thought he was going to play. Is it Timmy Levertetto? I forgot it.
Livramento.
I thought he was going to play him because, like I said, Dan Burn is not a proper left back. He's more of a centre back than everything else. And Alanga was targeting him every single time. And then, like I said, the first chance that he had, he should have passed to Chris Wood. But then, 2 minutes later, he made the assist for Chris Wood. And then I think that was a weak spot when Newcastle happened because, like mentioned, Kieran Tierney, wasn't it? Right back. Trippier, that's it. Second half, I thought he was awful as well. Yeah. I know the whole team, like I said, second half, the whole team was awful, mate. Wasn't great, but Burn and Trippier I don't think they were. That's where Forest were targeting because when players like Langa and Callum Hudson-Odoi, wingers out wide, that's where your weakness was, and I think we exploit that, and it worked. And that's why I said that performance, we need to carry on from it. Like I know since that game, it's not been great, but if we can carry on the way we did in that game against Newcastle, I think it would be all one way. The way Newcastle been playing.
Definitely. And look, we'll have a look at the table because obviously we've got Newcastle United. We're in ninth. It's definitely not where we want to be, but like where you are at this moment in time, like you're in 16th. Two questions from me. Were you expecting to be in this position at this point in the season, considering you'd already stayed up last season and you've strengthened since in the summer and again in January? And secondly, are you fearful of getting relegated this season?
The first question, I think all Forest fans expect to be just a little bit further up, like we say between 11th and 15th, because if I say we were in the top 10, I'm just deluded if I said that. But the second one bit, am I worried about getting relegation? As all Forest fans know, the point deduction is announced soon. We're going to be under pressure anyway, Pete and Chris. We're going to be pressure whatever happens. Like there's going to be more downs and ups. The injury front of us is not great. We play AFCON as well. I'm a bit worried. More worried. I think we're weaker than last year, if I'm honest. When you got teams like Luton and especially Everton getting points, I don't want to mention the 4-4 against Luton because we drawn 2-2 against you lot as well. Against Luton as well. I think that's the main two teams I'm worried about. I'm not worried about Burnley or Sheffield United at all, but the team I'm worried about is Luton and Everton because if we keep dropping points like we mentioned teams like against Brentford, we're in big trouble. So I think that's more worried about that. Brentford and Crystal Palace could be in that mix as well. And but the main two I think I'm worried about is Luton and Everton. But yeah, I am worried a bit, Pete.
Now, Chris, I've got a question for you.
I have a feeling where this is going.
Because you've got a house full of Blues, full of Everton fans. Who do you think's got the best chance of staying up this season, Forest or Everton?
Be careful what you say, Chris. Be careful what you say.
Do you know what? Yeah, I think you'll like this, Ben. I personally, I think Forest have got the better chance of staying up, and that's purely because I think Forest have got some really, really good players. Everton have got a bottom half squad, but they're full of players who can dig them out the shit basically. And a lot of clubs don't have that. But I do think that Forest have those real star players who can make a difference, and I'm sure we'll talk about them later. But Morgan Gibbs-White being one of them, I rate him so highly. But even as Ben was talking about, Ben, Callum Hudson-Odoi on one wing, Alanga on another wing. These are good players. They're very, very good players. And when you look across, the teams you've just been talking about there, your Bournemouths, your Fulhams, your Palaces, your Brentfords, man for man, I think if you compared them against Forest's squad and even Everton's to a degree, I think Forest and Everton would both come out on top. If you were to ask me who I think is going to finish higher in the league, I think it will be Nottingham Forest. Although, am I allowed to have an asterisk next to that in terms of points deductions and stuff like that? Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Everton, and we certainly don't know what's going to happen with Forest. I mean, for me, I do think it's. I mean, I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but I do think it's harsh that either club is getting a points deduction, if I'm honest, because it affects the fans first and foremost. And I do really have sympathy with the fans, because let's be honest, the fans are blameless in this, but. I do still think that Forest will come out on top above Everton, because I think Forest have got those real quality players that I think can make the difference. And hopefully Chris will be back and he'll be fit in no time, Ben, and then you'll be keep on banging those goals in, and you'll be flying up the league.
No, I just want Chris back for this game, and then he can get injured for the rest of the season.
I was going to say, Chris, hey, don't be nice to him. He ain't going to be nice to us if they get any points at the weekend.
I don't think, no, he probably won't, will he? No, he probably won't.
That. But no, I think that's definitely a fair assessment. And Geordie Dread TV, great to have you on the channel, in the chat. Hopefully we'll get you on soon. You said again, tough away game, no doubt for Newcastle, and it definitely is going there. That's for sure. But look, just really quickly, just while we're sort of on the topic of the league table, Newcastle United sitting in 9th. Look, we as a channel, Ben, have said, look, we need to get European football anywhere in the top 7 we'd take right now. It's not been the season we'd expected to have this season. In your opinion, do you think Newcastle have got enough, considering what you may have seen from other Premier League clubs this season? Do you think we've got enough to get in top 7?
Listen, on paper, he's still got some good players. And I said I rate Gordon. I like him a lot. But the problem is, I said, he played injury. I know, is it 3 players that got injured? I think Wilson is doubtful for Saturday. But it relies on injuries. And if you've been 9th for 3 points, anything can happen. Do I think top 4? I think that's gone. Yeah, if I'm honest, because we got teams like Aston Villa, one of the teams I didn't really thought they'll get their top 4, but they deserve it. European football, I think Europa League, look teams like Man U, West Ham, especially Brighton. People say about West Ham. I can mention about West Ham. They keep saying, "Oh, West Ham," especially West Ham fans moaning about Moyes. But 7th in the table. I wish to be 7th in the table. But with Newcastle, it's going to be difficult. We like the players as well. It's going to be hard. I think it's going to be really hard, but.
It's crazy sitting here, isn't it, Ben? I mean, I don't know about you from a neutral perspective, but it's crazy looking at that league, and I struggle with it just as a Newcastle fan. The fact that we're a point ahead of Wolves, and we're actually 2 points behind Brighton, who can't seem to buy a win. Yeah, and then even the teams above us, West Ham, Man United, so inconsistent, and it just shows.
And that's the thing. That's the thing, Chris. Inconsistent. Like I said, Newcastle should be winning against Luton. As well, and who did you lose beforehand? I don't know if you lost.
No, we beat Villa.
We beat Villa.
We beat Villa, and was it what score?
1-3-1.
3-1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Again, inconsistently, and like
Mm.
when you try and target when you try and target teams like in the lower half, like especially Forest, you should be winning games. But listen, it's all down to what players turn up. And when I watched the Newcastle Luton game, I thought, wow, it's not going to be another Forest performance against Luton. But listen, you've got to give your dues. You got a point. But I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. Because teams, like I said, I'm not going to mention Man U because I think they'll get top 4, if I'm honest.
Wow.
But it's teams like Brighton and West Ham. You've got to get above them, if I'm honest. But it's going to be tough.
Yeah, interesting. Look, it's that segued is nicely actually because Chris Brass has put a comment in the channel in the chat. Sorry, I am assuming regarding Forest, he's a Forest fan. Fatigue will be Forest's biggest worry on Saturday. Now, of course, you had sort of a replay, FA Cup replay with Bristol City. Went to extra time, went to penalties. A few things have kind of gone on and happened within that. Obviously, you played the extra minutes. Players tired. What is the situation with regards to Morgan's Gibbs White? We're going to talk about him a little bit more in just a second as a player, but was there a concern that he was kind of struggling and wanted to come off but couldn't? Like,
yeah,
what do you think about the game Saturday? Is he likely to make it?
I think he'll make it. I think he'll make it, Pete, because like he wanted to come off. I don't know if now he wanted to come off, and Nuno's response was, "What do you want me to do?" That's what it was, and
yeah.
And you've got to give credit to Bristol City because they was all over us, and we were shocking. We played like a championship team, and the players that we had, we should be beating Bristol City. But we mentioned Morgan Gibbs White. Like I said, I wish he didn't play. Yeah. Because it's weird because when I was in the championship, I could say, "Oh, I want to have an FA Cup run," but then now we're a Premier League team. I don't want to play in FA Cup no more. That's how it is, and it's weird. And now I've got Man U next. And like, it is what it is. Like I said yesterday, I was like, yes, if we lose to Bristol City in the penalties, we lose. But when we play in top players, like I said, Morgan Gibbs White, I was like, when he was like this, I'm like, no, this can't happen because we're losing players like Tower One. He just come back from injury, and we now Chris Wood is injured, and we're like this. Oh, Tower One, don't get injured. And I'm praying to God from now to the end of the season, if we lose Morgan Gibbs White and Tower One, we are in big trouble. Because the transfer window, it's been poor. We've just lost Mangala to Lyon for 30 million, and that's, for my opinion, as Forest fan, that's weakened midfield. Like, and I love Ryan Yates, but we've got a player like Sangane, he's on African Nations, and am I missing him? Not really, because he's not done nothing. He played well in the second half against Newcastle, to give him his dues. But since we signed him, we're not like said, oh, we've gone like, I'm happy he's gone to African Nations because he's not done nothing. But at the same time, we're like, we need him because Mangala's gone. We might Sangare. So the game, like I said, we rested. Like I saw come out Murillo. We rested him because he's been the top player, and I think Mangala played like 60 minutes. Colin Hudson-Odoi come on, and will Fasquet be a big issue? Maybe not. But listen, we're down to bare bones, if I'm honest. But we need every player that we need.
We'll just stick with Morgan Gibbs White just for a second, just because obviously from
you're not having him. You're not listen to me, right? You're Newcastle fans. You're not having him. Because I remember last time was it Brendan Johnson that you was linked with, and you thought, yeah, we can have him. It comes to you lot. So Morgan Gibbs White, I know you was linked with him. I saw like a picture of him with his face. I'm like, nah, that's not happening. But nah, Pete, don't bother. Don't even answer the question. You're not having him.
What I was going to ask for the Newcastle fans that are watching the channel and watching the show, how good is he? How good is he from a person, from you that goes home and away, watches every single game that Forest play? How good is this guy? Because like me and Chris have watched him for a while, and we know how good he is as a player. We know what he's capable of, and we would certainly take him at Newcastle United if the chance came about. But how good is he? Is he, in your opinion, ready to make that step into kind of the top half of the Premier League, fighting for like European football? Is he ready? Is he that guy?
The problem is we've got with Morgan White. When we signed him, we thought, okay, is he ready for the Premier League? Because he's not in the Premier League. He didn't have no Premier League experience for Wolves.
Yeah.
He went on loan to Sheffield United. And he's come to a Forest team, and we've been lacking that number 10 role. Morgan White, every single time he plays, he does something that we don't expect him to do. But then, I think everyone who plays that number 10 role, they'll do like little mistakes and they give the ball away too cheaply. That's the only thing he lacks. But going forward, when he always links with that whoever that number 9 is, it's Tawa Wane, Chris Ward, or even Elanga or Columbus Odoi. He's that man that can give us that set piece.
Yeah.
Do I think he can improve? 5%. Do I think he can be a top 6 team? Not yet. Not yet. I think he can, but he still needs to improve a lot. But he's getting there. And when he doesn't play, it's a massive, massive miss because, like I said, we lost to Brentford. He didn't. I think did he play against Brentford? He didn't play against Brentford, and it is a massive miss. But you come back against Bristol City, and again, that's the Morgan we really, really missed. When he played the other day against Bristol City, it's that role that he does who helps out like a Langer. I won't say a Tower One, like he does help do a link with Tower One, but it's more players like Langer and Callum Hudson-Odoi. He knows what to do.
Yeah.
But he's still, I know like yourself and Spurs have been linked with him. I just don't think I think he needs another season with us to make him more eyes on him for the top 6. Because like I said, it's that he needs to prove. But like I said, the question is, you're not getting him, Chris, Pete and Chris. That's what I'm saying. He's not coming to it. If you want him, get rid of FFP and tell your billionaire owners to pay big bucks, because in hindsight, and I know teams are not buying big. In hindsight, we're not buying. We're not spending big money. But is he an 80 million pound person? Not yet, but I think he'll get there if he improves his goals, because that's where he's lacking on Forest right now. He's lacking his goals. I think that goal against Man U was crazy. But that's why he's lacking his goals. But if he scores more goals, I think he'll get there. But listen, you're not having him. Chris, to Pete, you're not having him. It's simple as that.
Devil's advocate here, Ben. Devil's advocate. If Newcastle were to knock on the door in the summer, what do you think the Forest owners, right? Because you mentioned about potentially being an 80 million pound player, but what do you think would be the figure that would tempt Forest to potentially part ways with them if Newcastle were to come call them or someone else?
That's the big question. Like we see players like Brennan Johnson, he went for 50 million to Spurs. With Marcus White,
is he better? He's better.
He's different to Brennan because Brennan's a winger, and Marcus White, he can be a winger and be, but he's better as a number 10, so he can be versatile. From Newcastle, we got Bruno Guimaraes, Miley as well.
He is.
Apparently,
don't read that, Ben.
His best mates with Anthony Gordon.
No, he's not. Mike, you're a liar. You're
my guy, Mikey. You're my guy.
He's a lie. Mike, you're telling a lie. Stop. You wait for the sun. Stop lying.
I love that.
To your point, Chris, I say I think I like I said, my Forest fans might think I'm wrong. I think it's around 50-60. That's what I think. I've been a little bit nearly 70, but won't push it at 70. 50-60. If Forest, if the owner Marinakis think, okay, in hindsight, Mug White wants international football, so he'll soon go. Which is when. But the question is, I think it's around 60, around 60 mark. I'll say, but I might be wrong. Might be more. So if you want him, get your money out because we're a big club now.
No, you are. You're back in the Prem. We said to you on away days when you first came on, we're absolutely buzzing to have you back in the Premier League because Forest are a top club, lots of history, and you want those traditional clubs in the Premier League because that's what makes the Premier League as great as what it is. And look, let's be honest, Chris, I know you'll agree as well. Having Forest back in the Premier League has been absolutely fantastic. Like it really, really has. And you guys and your fans, yourself, Ben, like so Dave, and so many that I met personally when I came to your place last season. It was great to meet, and you guys are so welcoming.
I love going to Newcastle. You know what, Dave? I love coming to Newcastle, man. I love coming to Newcastle.
So do we.
You know what it is? When I came to Newcastle, right, I think everyone was so loving and all that, and it was funny. I speak to Newcastle fans, and I'm like this. Oh, Chris Ward, he's not great, is there? He's not great, is there? And look what happened. 3-1. And Chris, like, yeah, but Newcastle fans are amazing. I've always rated Newcastle fans, man. I've always rated them.
Nah, definitely. But what I will say for all Newcastle fans listening to Ben's,
I can see all the comments, man. Stop saying all these lies, man.
For anyone that was listening to Ben's earlier assessments of Morgan's Gibbs White, ignore it. He just doesn't want him to leave and come to Newcastle. That's all, right?
Come to Newcastle.
You played Morgan's Gibbs White right down, right, and then labelled him at 60 million.
He's not good. Newcastle fan, he's not good. He's not great. Let's put right. He's rubbish. He's rubbish.
I knew that was coming. But look, talked about Morgan Gibbs White. Gio Reyna. Were you excited about him coming in? We were expecting it. I think for me and Chris and Daz, when we saw that come through, like we were surprised because like Dortmund centre midfielder coming to Forest. Like, what did you make of it all, mate?
When I first heard of it, I thought, okay, good player. But then I know there's been quite a lot of him, a bit of his background, of been a player that likes to unsettle the dressing room if he doesn't get his own way. But on the field, like I said, I watch German football. He's good, but as a winger, I think, like I said, when he came on for the last 20 minutes against Bournemouth, I thought, you know what? He might be the person that can, because I mentioned Morgan Gibbs White, the pressure's on him. And now we've got another player that can lock more eyes on. I think he can do well, but we need goals. Goals that can help Toby Awoniyi. Because, like I said, we're relying on, like I said, Chris Wood. He was getting the goals when Toby Awoniyi was injured. And now Chris Wood's injured. We need these midfielders to, like, you know, Morgan Gibbs White, Elanga, Cosmo Hustoy to get goals. But it's more, like I said, I personally still think we're weaker. But if he's, I like him, but he's got to prove that, because all the Dortmund fans are saying he's good, but he's got to prove it now to Forest fans. He's a man that can help Forest survive. Because, like I said, when I first heard of him, I thought, yeah, he's good, but he's got to prove it on the pitch. But I'm excited. But time will tell.
Okay. Interesting. Lots of great comments coming in from the chat. Great to have you all in with us tonight. Brilliant to have you in. And again, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, if you're new to the channel, make sure you do. We have lots of content coming in. Just a reminder, really, thank you for all your support as always. Chris, I love it. On the button as ever. I absolutely love it. Just a reminder, of some of the shows that we've had previously. Last night we had a fantastic Talking Tunes show with some Newcastle United content creators. Adam P was on with us last night, and Tevin from Irish Mags. Brilliant show. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. Brilliant stuff as always. Look, we'll start to kind of get into the game now. I want to talk sort of tactics with you, and we'll get the tactics board up, lads, just because we're at that stage now where we're kind of get into the game. So hopefully you can see that on the screen. We've got the Forest squad up and ready. Chris, I'll come to you for the Newcastle United squads. But look, if you were to choose your 11, one of the surprises from that was how many goalkeepers you got?
5.
Yeah, and you signed the next Newcastle United goalkeeper in Matt Sells. Like, what the hell? What is the thinking in that?
Listen to me, right? Don't ask me. It's because today they just confirmed the 25, and we've still got 5 goalkeepers in there. I'm looking, why do we need 5 goalkeepers? Why? Just I don't. Yeah, maybe to stop you lot scoring. Maybe put 5 in goal so we can stay up. But 5 goalkeepers is pushing it a bit.
It's crazy. But like, look, if you were to choose your team to start and sort of like work through your formation, talk us through how you set your team up, mate.
I think definitely play Matt Sells, definitely in goal.
Do you think he'll start ahead of Turner?
Yeah, because he started against Bournemouth, didn't he, on Sunday? And yes, he conceded the first goal in I think it was 5 minutes, but he wasn't really tested from Slanky, because our defence played really well against him. So playing against Newcastle, I think he's got something to prove. And listen, if you tell Forest fans about Matt Turner, and I'm not going to cross the line because a few Forest fans have. He's not been great with us, especially the game against Arsenal, conceding 2 goals that time. It's not well, so we had to bring a goalkeeper in, and time will tell if Matt Sells is the goalkeeper that can keep us up. So much, like I said, all football fans can be a bit fickle with mistakes, but as you lot two all know, the Premier League is brutal, and they went full sorry for us. So Matt Sells for me would be in goal.
Do you know what, as well, Ben? Just to add, I think I'm sure it was the Arsenal Forest game I was watching. It was because Matt Turner's old club was Arsenal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that goal that he conceded at the near post, mate, that's goalkeeping. You know, that's your basic, that's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
And for me, as soon as that happened, I just thought, whoa, this is too much now.
It was funny because when we did that, I don't know if people seen the picture on Twitter. When Maranaka's seen it, he kicked his TV aggressively and he smashed his TV.
Yeah, the screen was completely smashed, wasn't it?
Smashed
I did see that.
And that says, we had to be a goalkeeper. But bringing Matt Sells last minute, I hate the chance of winning the lastminute.com. And when I heard the Newcastle fans saying it would be a flop, I'm like, oh. But the Stratford fans were saying, I don't know if you lot knew, the Stratford fans protest of him selling him because he's done very well for them.
He did well there, yeah.
Wow, so listen to me, time will tell, and we can judge him at the end of the season if he does well or not.
It was a decent keeper. I think he made a couple of really bad moments quite close together, which I think sealed his fate at Newcastle. But yeah, a decent keeper. But again, he for me, at his height, he's probably bottom half Premier League, which ultimately is where you are now. But when you've had Navas in goal and when you've had Henderson in goal, who have
never replaced him. Pete.
That's then the problem. Like, you went on a mad run before his injury when you had Henderson, where he was like unplayable and barely conceding a goal, and like he did the same with Sheffield United, and it's kind of like, you know, you haven't really got that goalkeeper now. Like, for me, I don't know if you agree, Chris, like, having seen Matt Sells before, he'll either have a masterclass against us on Saturday or he'll have a disaster class and he'll give us a couple of goals. Like, that's honestly where I kind of think it is with Matt Sells as a keeper. But Ben, give us your team. Do you play with the back four? Talk us through how you think you'll set up your lineup. But I have to say, there's a few players that are missing there. I mean, Serge Aurier's gone to Turkey, so he's gone. He's out of the squad. There's
Well,
McCarthy, who's apparently injured.
No,
Is
he come back. He come back against Bristol City. He was on AFCON, so he's back.
Okay, so he'll be potentially in the team. Willy Boley is in the final of the AFCON.
Yeah, AFCON. He's AFCON.
And Montiel is apparently he's injured.
No. Well, he got injured against Bristol City, but
Yeah.
I've not seen Nuno's press conference if he's back or not. But
right.
I personally think he'll play. I'll tell you my reasons why I think he'll play. But you're going to do it now, or
give us your back line. Give us your back line, mate.
So I think Montiel will play right back because all Forest fans know. Like I spoke to Nicky Williams' dad, and I don't know if Liverpool fans know he can't play right back because Liverpool don't teach right backs to play wing backs. That's why Nicky Williams is better. As if we played a 3-5-2, I think Nicky Williams will play. But because I think we'll play a flat back four. I think Montiel will be there. I'm a Bombadeli. I think I said pronounce his name right. Will play next to him, and then I think another player that I think Newcastle will be linked with because I think he's a top player, and you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, Murilo, the Brazilian. He's
quality.
If any Forest fans watching this, he's good with his feet, but he's getting better with his head because I don't think he can head the ball when it's defensively, but he's slowly improved. And like I said, he's fantastic with his feet. But I think he'll start because he was rested against Bristol City, so he'll start. The left back one is an iffy one because Toffolo's been good for us, and Nuno Tavares has been all right. But I think he'll start Nuno Tavares at left back if I'm honest, because he's more paceful and that. But you can't write Toffolo off because I don't know the left back one situation, but I think Nuno Tavares will start left back.
Okay.
The midfield, I personally think it's going to be Dominguez and Danilo. No, Yatesy. I think Yatesy and Ryan Yates and Dominguez. I think then too because both of them were suspended for the game. So
who did you buy Dominguez from? Was it somewhere in Italy?
Bologna was swapped with.
He's the one I was thinking of actually because I was thinking when I was looking through your team, I was thinking, when the hell did they sign Dominguez?
He played against Newcastle.
No, I've not even noticed. I didn't even notice that he signed him. Like he's a good player.
He is a good player.
Yeah, Bologna. I'm not gonna lie. I've not watched him since he was at Forest, but Dominguez at Bologna, in Italy, he was a good player.
Yes.
So I'm gonna now. I know he's with you. I'm gonna watch him a little bit closer. I had no idea.
The thing about Dominguez, like I said, what's his best position for Nottingham Forest because he can play that the 8 or 6 role defensive because when we played against Bournemouth, the first 10 minutes he was awful, but then he got stuck in and he was getting slowly getting better and better. He scored important goals for us, like against Manchester United and I don't know what the game was. As a winger, he's been playing all right with us. But we need someone who, like I said, we've been missing players in that centre midfield role. So that's why I said Dominguez will play that role alongside Yates. Danilo might play. We don't know because he's been all right with us. But I personally think with that Newcastle midfield, it's going to be a tough. So I think Dominguez and Yates will play. The next 3, I think it's going to be Hudson-Odoi as that number 10 role.
Right in the middle.
The problem is, not Hudson-Odoi. Gibbs White. I
was going to say.
Yeah, Gibbs White. That's it. Gibbs White. What am I saying Hudson-Odoi for? Newcastle fans, you staying with us. I need to get it in your lot's head. Langer, will Langer start? I think he will because if Dan Burn plays left back, he's definitely going to start. So Langer will play there. And now the next one, I don't know. Will it be Hudson-Odoi or will it be Gino Rea? I think he might go for Rea, if I'm honest.
If you're signing someone like Rainey, you can't really keep him on the bench.
Yeah,
can
you can't keep him on the bench as well. But Hudson-Odoi's not been bad. He's been said a lot, but he's not been bad. But you're not going to drop a Langer. You're not going to drop Gibbs White. But it's just going to be out. And last but not least, it's got to be the main man. I wish it was Chris Wood. If I'm honest,
we're not.
Tower Wani is definitely because he's not match fit at all. Like I say, I don't know if you can tell the Bournemouth game. He come back and you can tell that his shots was just like half timid shots.
Yeah.
The game when he come on against Bristol City again, there's a few chances that he could have done better. But listen, this game he needs to be up for it. And like I said, we can complain about him not much fitness, but with the way Newcastle's defensive conceding 4, he's going to be like, if Chris Wood can do it, why can't I do it? So listen, man, I think Tower will be up for this, and Newcastle fans got to be worried because he is strong. I know you got a strong centre back in Botman and
Shaw.
If you talk about and Shaw. Listen, man, I think you're in a tough game, but listen, I think that's my team. And can we get a result? Why not? It's weird because when we drawn to Bournemouth, I thought that team when Newcastle drawn 4-4, I thought, you know what? If we can carry on, if we play the way we did against Bournemouth in the last 10 minutes against Newcastle, I think we can win. This is why I'm confident we can get a result. But I'll do my predictions at the end.
Okay, Chris, I'm going to come to you. The Newcastle United squad, we had no idea. So it is what it is. I have taken Mankilio out of our squad, obviously because he's no longer there. But what you go for, fella?
So just to be clear, I'm going to pick the team that I think Eddie Howe will start with. Okay. So this isn't the team I would pick, but this is the team that I believe will start against Forest at the weekend. So in goal, I think it will be Martin Dubravka.
Yep.
Right back will be Kieran Trippier.
Superb.
Right centre back will be Fabian Schär.
Yeah.
Left centre back will be Sven Botman.
Yeah.
And left back, in my opinion, is going to be
Burn.
It's Burn.
Yes.
I think he's going to start Dan Burn. I personally wouldn't start Dan Burn, but I think that Eddie Howe will start Dan Burn. In the number 6 role, Pete, I think it will be Bruno.
Yeah.
And then on the left of the midfield 3, I think it will be Louis Miley. And on the right, it will be Sean Longstaff.
Yeah.
Now, the front 3 is interesting. But I think, again, thinking what Eddie Howe will pick, I think through the middle will be Callum Wilson. Because we haven't really got any other option.
Yeah.
On the right will be Jacob Murphy.
Okay.
And I think on the left will be Miggy Almiron.
Okay.
And that's how I think we'll start. I mean, Pete, you critique that, mate, obviously, but that's the 11 I think will start against Forest.
Honestly, I think to be fair, you're very, very close with what I think he'll go for. The only change I'll make is that I in my opinion, I think he'll play Tino Livramento.
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope he does.
Yeah, look, we talked about it on our review show. We all hope he does. Me, you, and that. We were saying it has to happen, and so many in our chat were saying exactly the same. And look, the fact that Ben wants Dan Burn to start means I want Livramento to start. Come on,
no.
And that's look, Dan Burn. There'll be games this season where Dan Burn will be crucial to his getting points. I have to say that. But for this game, and seeing exactly what you said, Ben, in the game at St. James's Park, when Alanga tore Dan Burn apart time and time and time again, we cannot afford to make the same mistake twice, 2 games in a row. So for me, Livramento has to start. And I think he will do a good job in keeping Anthony Alanga quiet. I really do think that, because I think he's a top fullback. He can play left back, he can play right back, he's got pace, he's a good defender, but he can also get forward and create problems the other end. I agree with what you've said, Chris, in that what you've got there as well as with Livramento. I think Livramento will play there, but what you've got there is a workhorse in Almiron to come back and support. That might be our downfall, though, I have to say, in why you've selected Dan Burn, is that could be the reason why he plays Dan Burn, because he's got a workhorse that can actually go and protect him. So that could be the downfall in that. But I actually think Livramento will start. I think he deserves to start. I think he's shown. Well, Luton caused all kinds of problems, Ben, down our left-hand side. But at 4-2, as soon as Livramento came on, they barely created a chance after that point. And I think that tells its own story. It was the same against Villa. Villa scored their goal to make it 3-1. Leon Bailey set up Watkins because they were constantly bombarding our left-hand side with Dan Burn. As soon as we brought Livramento on and went to back five, that was it. Game done. Because it just shut it down. He just shut Leon Bailey down, who's been in amazing form. He has that ability to do that. And I just think he now needs a run in the team. So, yeah, that's just my opinion on that. But again, Chris, I would not be surprised at all to see Dan Burn start. I think the rest of the team, like you said, picks itself. I think Jacob Murphy deserves to start. I think Callum Wilson has to start, as you said, Chris. You're absolutely right. I would love to see a Joe Willock on the bench. I said it last week. I'll say it again. We need someone like him to come on and really change the game. Just imagine having Willock and Barnes come on late on in the game with their pace and their ability to cause problems in a counter-attack. That's exactly what we need. The midfield's going to be
Gordon, Gordon. Possibly. It's an outside chance, I know, but
he wasn't pictured training, but we know from previous that doesn't mean that he's not going to play. And for me, honestly, I think the maximum we can ask for him is being on the bench. I don't think he'll start. But I think the one thing that gives me hope, Chris, and I think you might agree with this, is that his attitude and his determination to be involved in games, and in previous games earlier on in the season where he's not been 100% fit, but he's thrown himself in. I think that could be something of a bonus for Newcastle United. So he can maybe come off and play 10 minutes and just be electric for 10 minutes and give everything. And that would be good enough for us. So having someone like, I mean, you've just said it, if he's on the bench, Chris, Gordon, Willock, Barnes coming off the bench, you got to be happy with that. And that's something we haven't experienced before. So the rest of the team picks itself for me. I think Botman is going to have to do a job here. Shaw is going to have 100%. To sleep here 100%. Because Almioni, he is a big strapping striker, and although he's not hitting the ground running at the moment because he's lacking fitness, he can still nick a goal or two. He is a good striker.
Look the goal against Arsenal. Like I said, you if you don't get hold of him, he'll just twist and turn and score like he did against Arsenal. So I think that's what Newcastle got to worry with Botman and Shaw. So yeah, give him space, he'll score.
Definitely.
I agree.
There's your battles there for me. If you're looking at any sort of battles and you're looking at anything, for me, you're looking here. We've talked about this position here between Bruno Guimaraes and Gibbs White because we know, boys, from both a Forest and a Newcastle perspective, that Gibbs White will find pockets here, find pockets there. On midfield is going to have to be tight. A little bit like how we played against Man City, Chris, where when we played the straight line and we try and block off that number 10 position, we're going to have to do that sort of job on here to block anything going in there and hope that we can stop the likes of Yates and Dominguez playing anything in. But Bruno's going to have to play maybe more of a disciplined role in that position there in order to kind of make it work. But again, it's going to be really intriguing to see how that kind of works from both perspectives. I'm really intrigued to see, but I expect it in game to be a little bit like this, and a case at times to say, right, you go breakers down. Can you find the pockets when we're really tight to our centre backs here? Can you find the pockets in there? Are you going to get the sort of space to counter attack? That will be the best way that we stop Morgan's Gibbs White, as we say, if he plays. I'm interested to see how Wilson gets on against Murillo, because they're both big, strong players. It could be a really, really intriguing battle there. And yeah, Almiron with his pace against Montiel, that could be interesting. There's a few things there, but I think the Botman Awioni situation and the midfield battle, I think, are going to be the key to this game. That's if Dan Burn doesn't play. Anything else you boys want to add before we finish with the tactics board?
No, I think that team with the Newcastle, especially in the midfield, you mentioned Bruno Gomez. I think if he stops Morgan Gibbs White, we don't win the game. But Taiwo, like I said, it's going to be a battle. Whoever marks him on Saturday, but it's going to be a battle, especially in a midfield. But you lot win if you lot stop Morgan Gibbs White. It's simple as that.
Okay. Yeah. Right. We'll end that one there. And look, before we come to predictions, of course, we want to we want a few stats.
Good evening, lads.
I like magic. Keith. He appears. Keith, welcome back. I know you've been busy the last couple of weeks, but it's great to have you back on the channel for away days. And look, what stats have you got for us this week? Big game.
Absolutely huge game, and certainly a lot of respect between the two clubs as well. There's, the clubs think a lot of each other, and it's nice when that happens in football, as well as the friendly rivalry as well, obviously on the day. Got a few stats here. Head-to-head all-time records, 115 games, 53 wins for Newcastle, 27 draws and 35 defeats. Nottingham Forest, surprisingly, are winless against Newcastle in 7 Premier League games at the City Ground. 5 wins and 2 defeats, which is crazy. But since in Premier League era, that Newcastle are unbeaten at the City Ground. However, Nottingham Forest, they did win 2 games in that time in the Championship, in the Newcastle's 2 Championship seasons in 2009 and 2016. Newcastle have scored more goals in this fixture, 20 goals to 9 for Nottingham Forest. Newcastle have also got the better defensive record with 6 clean sheets compared to 2 clean sheets for Forest. A couple of stats on the players. Kieran Dyer. I'm going back in time there. Kieran Trippier, present time. He has more assists than any other player in the Premier League, which is just crazy for a defender, isn't it, really? With 9 assists. And basically half of his total assists in the Premier League in the last season, have came in the past 2 seasons for Newcastle. So he's managed 16 goal scoring assists in 34 out of his career at Newcastle, which is a brilliant stat and a brilliant record for Trippier, particularly this season. All 4 of Callum Hudson-Odoi's Premier League goals for Chelsea were scored inside the box, whereas the past 2 for Nottingham Forest have been outside the box, so he's become more of a threat elsewhere in the park. He's coming on really well, is Callum Hudson-Odoi, flourishing there at Forest. A couple of stats on the managers. Eddie Howe's record as manager in games against Nottingham Forest. He's managed 4 games. He's got 3 wins, and he's got lost the last game, which was over Christmas. And Nuno Espirito Santo, his record in games as manager against Newcastle, he's got a brilliant record. He's managed 8 games. He's won 3. He's drawn 5. He's undefeated in games he's managed against Newcastle.
Make it 9. It's going to be 9.
Let's hope that changes. As Newcastle proved with Sunderland in the FA Cup earlier last month, things finished with a 9, including Newcastle's awful record against Sunderland recently, with a nice 3-0 win down at the Stadium of Light. So let's hope it finishes with a 9 against Nuno Espirito Santo. A couple of general stats to round off. Nottingham Forest have conceded 13 goals from set pieces, not including penalties in the Premier League, which is at least 3 more than any other club. So not such a great record from set pieces. Newcastle, on the other hand, they've shipped at least 3 goals in each of their last home Premier League games. So 10 in total.
That's against us as well, just before I get it in there.
Don't do this, Ben.
and that number of 10 goals is as many as they've conceded in their previous 16 games at St James's Park combined. So it's just as well that they're on the road again on Saturday, where they've picked up in the last month in the FA Cup and in the league against Aston Villa. And that's your stats for tonight.
Love it.
Love it.
The positivity.
I love it more than you, Pete.
I love that positivity to end on, Keith. Great stuff. On the road, we are on the march, that's for sure. Brilliant stats as always, Keith. Thank you so much for that. Intrigued to see how we improve those stats after Saturday. But Ben, I know you got to go because we're going to be doing a preview on your channel in just a second. But before you go, tell us where we can find you. And secondly, what's your prediction for Saturday night, mate?
You'll find me on my Door and Tour channel. Like I said, myself and Pete will be my channel. If any Newcastle fans want to come on and support Pete, because I'm going to absolutely destroy him. All the nonsense, like you said last time. Please check my channel, Door and Tour. I follow every game, home and away, vlogs, previews, shows. I've guests, ex-Western Forest player Kevin Campbell on my show. So please follow my show. Score prediction. I'm more confident this time because I think I wasn't that confident last time.
Nah, you weren't.
So I think I'll go for it. Lost. I'll say 2-2.
Oh, Desmond. Interesting.
2-2. I don't know why. Because like I said, you just said Newcastle, they've not lost at the City Ground. And like I said, on paper, they've still got good players. Like Callum Wilson, he's a number 9, and he'll score, but our form was it's iffy. Yeah. So I'll say 2-2.
Fair play. Fair play. Mate, we'll let you go so you can set up and we'll join you in just a second, mate. But Ben, absolute pleasure as always to have you on.
I'll see you soon, Pete. Just have your mental hat with you, yeah?
I will. Don't worry about that.
Right. Cheers, Chris. Cheers, Keith.
Top, Ben.
Take care, mate. See you later. All the best.
Brilliant to have Ben on. Great guest as always. And there was a poll tonight for those that are in the chat and coming into the channel. There was a poll. Do you think or do you believe Newcastle United will get the 3 points on Saturday? And Daz has just put the results in the poll. And their poll confidence, 60% yes, we're going to get the points. I love the 60% and 40% no. Could understand the kind of the not negativity. It's not negativity, but the kind of the worry about us away from home or previous away form. We completely understand that. Sorry, Keith, I've got a question for you. Obviously, we'd already gone through the tactics board, but Chris went for Dan Burn at left back because he thinks that's what. To be fair, I'm of the same mindset. We think that's what Eddie Howe might go for. Are you of the same mindset, or are you slightly different from that? Because I think Chris went. You think Eddie Howe, don't you, Chris? Will go for Dan Burn. Okay.
Yes.
I think he might go for Livramento. Are you Dan Burn, Livramento? What do you think Eddie Howe is going to go for? Not necessarily your own opinion.
Yeah. I think the key words there are what you think that Eddie Howe's going to do, and sometimes you can't help but think. And I do think he will go with Burn for sure because he does seem to like the loyalty. I think he'll support his man. he supports his key players, but realistically, yeah, I would go with Livramento. The pace
Good
getting
evening.
back and forward, a tough away trip as well. We have to look as well at the game on Boxing Day. I watched the game on Boxing Day and it was a disaster. On Amazon Prime, a goal up from a penalty. Newcastle, so you're supposed to be in the ascendancy here at home on Boxing Day, and Forest carved Newcastle open with the chances. They've got some fast players there. Hudson-Odoi's improved. It's a worry. So for me, I would want somebody on the pace who can cover and track back, and that would be Livramento. But I don't think he'll start. I think you will stick with Burn, and we might see Livramento at some stage in the game, I would think, in the second half. Fingers crossed, though, there's no damage done at that stage.
Boys, lads, what do you think the reaction might be from sections of the fan base if when that team sheet comes out and Dan Burns starts? What do you think the reaction might be? Do we expect there to be a negative reaction to that, or do you expect there to be full-blooded support behind Newcastle United regardless? What are your thoughts on that?
Me personally, I think if you'd asked me this question 6 months ago, I think it would have been full support. Now, I think they'll be gunning for him. I'll be honest. I think they'll be gunning for Eddie Howe and they'll be gunning for Dan Burn. And I'm not saying that that's how it should be, but I do believe that'll be the case. And the only way that the doubters, which may include ourselves, the only way that the doubters can be kind of put to bed, should we say? I won't say shut up because everyone's got an opinion, everyone's entitled to an opinion. But the only way that the doubters can be calmed or proved wrong is for Dan Burn to have a really good game, which we know he's capable of doing. Me personally, as we've already said, boys, and I know that you feel exactly the same way, and Keith included, Tino Livramento should be starting. But I do believe that Dan Burn will start. But I tell you what, it really cranks the pressure up on Eddie Howe and Dan Burn personally. And you know what, Keith, just going back to what you said as well, in that Eddie's loyal to his players. We had a similar conversation about Kieran Trippier, didn't we? Not so long ago, a few weeks ago, saying that Kieran Trippier needed to be rested and Eddie Howe stuck with him. And Kieran Trippier turned a corner, in fairness to him. So he was proved right on that occasion, but this one could be different. Sorry, Keith, you were going to say something, mate.
No, I mean, there's a few things, obviously, that I'm thinking of there. And obviously, Newcastle have, there are some fans who might have been disillusioned with Newcastle before who've came back to the table and have been actively supporting Newcastle again on this journey. Their patience might be wearing thin because they might have seen Newcastle come up and some of these players come up, and then they mightn't be as loyal and as invested in some of these players and think, right, okay, the patience is wearing thin there. I think the away crowd can be different as well, your diehards. So certainly on the terraces, it mightn't be felt as much on the terraces, the groans, but there's a couple of things. I mean, the Trippier thing, putting it in context, there were just maybe one or two things where he was mentally burnt out privately, whatever issues there were going on outside. But with Burn, is it actually a sign of things to come? Is there a slight decline there in form and, where it could be impacting his career, and where he can only be used in certain games as opposed to being the stellar player he's been over the years. And plus as well, isn't he being played out of position as well to cover for Target's injury as well, when in actual fact it's not necessarily more his natural position? So there's a few things going on there with Burn, I would say. But for me, Livramento has emerged as this season's gone on. There's no doubt about it. He's along with Gordon, he is the star of this season, isn't he? Really?
Yeah,
definitely. He's a standout guy. But look, let's wait and see. As we always do on the away days, we wait and see what the team news is, and we always react and look back to the show and see if we were right or wrong. And so do people in the chat as well, as the comments flow in. But look, let's come to predictions. Let's get the predictions on the doors. I'm going to go 2-1 Newcastle. It's going to be a tight game. Both teams need to win. We talked about Forest being down there, scrapping for their lives. We need a win to, because this is a winnable game for Newcastle United for sure. And I think we will. But Chris, what are you going for, mate? Saturday night?
I'm stuck between two. I'm doing a key here. I'm stuck between two. Part of me saying 2-1, and the other half of me saying, actually, can we get 3? I am going to go for the Newcastle win. I did have 2-1 on the mind, and then you said 2-1, Pete. And I know the last few weeks I've agreed with you, haven't I? But I just wonder whether there's goals in this team, and I think there is. I think Callum Wilson. I could see Callum Wilson getting a brace, no problem. And I think I'm long overdue seeing that Jacob Murphy smile. So I'm going to say Callum Wilson to get 2, Jacob Murphy to get 1, and I think it'd be 3-1 Newcastle.
Oh, is he goal scorer?
I'm going 3-1. Go 3-1.
And a new GIF in there as well, maybe a Jacob Murphy GIF there.
Yeah, absolutely, Keith. I'm all for that.
Jacob Murphy GIF.
I'm sure we'll have it on the reaction show as well as the GIF comes in. But Chris, you've been gone for the goal scorers. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Feel it.
Keith, what are you going for this time, fella? Are you going to be on the fence again, or are you going to be strong in the opinion whether we're going to win, lose? What are you going for, mate?
I'm quite worried about this one. I think the back four is, the back is really shaky, not only with Byrne, but Dubravka as well. He has been improved. There's no doubt about it. He's put some really good displays in and getting a couple of clean sheets. But I'm very worried. And I worry that this could be a double for Forest. And I kind of bring myself to say that. So I've gone Desmond.
Another Desmond.
He stole me thunder.
Yeah, he did. He's gone for the Desmond. Oh, yeah. Ben said the same. Look, I'd take a couple of goals on our side, that's for sure. But no, I've just, I don't know. I just think the way we defended away at Villa, I've got that in mind. We defended really, really well away at Villa, and I just think we can do the same again against Forest, a lesser opposition. The fans are going to get behind them. They're going to be up for it. Of course they are. It's 5:30 kickoff, but I just think, I think there's enough there to do.
But on paper, Luton's a lesser opposition, and Luton have given Newcastle nightmares this season, both home and away. So
that is true.
We'll wait and see. Fingers crossed, it's the right result. If Isak was playing, I would be a lot more confident.
Yeah. He's quality, and hopefully we get him back soon. Hopefully we get him back for Bournemouth. But people, there we are. There are the predictions. Predictions are in. The show is in. Massive thanks for you joining us tonight. And if you haven't already, check out Talking Toon with Tevin, Adam, and Alex. Great show last night. If you haven't already, follow us on all of our socials, X, TikTok, Instagram, and you come and watch us on all of our platforms, YouTube, which is where we are right now, Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon. They'll be coming out 24 hours later. And of course, for any business inquiries, Loaded Mag, NUFC info @gmail.com. And of course, we need to give a massive shout out to our sponsors. Massive thanks to Bathroom Design H2O for all their support, for their fantastic bathrooms, as we can see there. And of course, the Radiator Shed, Russ and the team are superb with their work on all things radiators too. Thank you for all your support as well, our brilliant sponsors. But guys and girls, we are out of here. Come on, we need a win, massive win away at Forest. Last season, it rejuvenated us and allowed us to kick on to get Champions League. Who's to say that this time it doesn't rejuvenate us and help us get European football? Fingers crossed, we all are. But massive thanks to everyone in the chat. Get your likes and subscribes on your way out. Make sure you do all of the good housekeeping stuff. And boys, until then, we do love playing away. Take us away, Chris.
Keith, how'd you like that?
Take care, guys.
How you like Drink it.